Unwelcome, everybody. I am not Bizarro, and we have a very special episode for you tonight of Bizarro Style, where I'm going to be joined by two guests. My first guest was on the show recently, Vote Detective Chimp, who I'm now just going to refer to as Short Detective Chimp. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
I appreciate you doing it. And our second guest, I've been trying to get on the show for a long time. He's a mystery wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in a riddle, but a big member of this community and somebody I'm proud to call a friend. SilverFox, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brother Biz.
Appreciate it, man.
Finally made
I am really glad to have you on. When did you start playing the game?
with pre-release.
Wow, so you've been playing a long time.
Yeah, I took a few months off in the first year, but I've been playing solid ever since.
What drew you to the game? Are you a big comics fan?
Oh, I'm a huge DC Comics geek. I started collecting DC in 1968, which means, I'm old.
So I asked that question, but I already knew the answer. It was obviously for the audience because I've seen some of the stuff that you had, and you had amazing collection. And I want to thank you personally on air for all the art you've done for my show and the art that you do for the community. So I'm saying a thank you for the community for all the art that you put out there.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. For me, being retired, it gives me something to do. It keeps my mind active, and when you're fighting dementia, that's kind of important. And it's a labor of love, as you can tell from what I put out.
Yeah. Well, the one you did for this particular episode is fantastic. So thanks for all you've done for the show and for the community.
You're more than welcome.
And for our alliance, too, I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely.
So for the audience, what we wanted to do in this episode was, it's obviously called Wheel of Grievances. And so it's here that I'll issue a warning. If you don't want to hear three guys complaining for the next 30 to 45 minutes, you can go ahead and just hit the stop button, click somewhere else, do whatever you like. This won't be the episode for you, but we felt like we needed a chance to vent about some things. And so what we did was we came up with a list of 14 things that are pissing us off in the game. And we're going to have 10-minute rounds where we can... Actually, we're going to have 5-minute rounds where we can talk about each one. And if we go under a round, we can dedicate that to a different round. And and vice versa. If we go over, we can make sure we go under in another round. So that'll be the basic format. I actually have a timer that'll go so that we don't run long and go too long-winded about any particular topic. And then along with that, we may not hit every topic in the time that we have. SilverFox will be generating a random number out of the 14 topics that we came up with, and we will just start talking about that topic once he generates the number. So hopefully that makes sense the way I described it. So, SilverFox, you want to give us our first topic?
Yeah, and actually with my DC Comics history, this is the best one for me to lead with. Like I said, I started collecting in 68. The comic industry was started really by the superhero comics. Was started by Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Everything else.
So you got number 14, huh?
I got number 14. When it all starts with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and you look at this game, and the game features those three characters in all their advertising, none of those characters are really strong.
There
are three Batman that are all There's one Superman that, he can be a little annoying sometimes, and three Wonder Women who also are just mediocre at best.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly.
Yeah, it's It doesn't make any sense to me. So just so the
Yeah,
audience
you basically have Superman and Wonder Woman that have nuisance taunts, but otherwise don't do much damage or much other for the team. And then you have Batman that's just nothing. He's been nothing since day one.
yeah, I mean, the Wonder Woman Defender of Justice, she does a great job at getting herself killed. So I don't quite understand that. And just so the audience is following, the topic that we chose, and we can say the name of the topic we chose at the beginning each time, is why does the Trinity suck? And how does a game about DC Comics have the Trinity suck? And I mean, how many times have they reworked Superman?
Well, I also just want to add, it's not just that the Trinity sucks. It's that the characters that they make so overwhelmingly overpowered are people like Man-Bat. Like, why? Why do I want to spend $70 to level up Man-Bat? Like, why?
Yeah. Or well, I won't I won't mention her name yet because we have that for later. But yes, I mean, you have a lot of side characters that I don't get it why they are so incredibly powerful, and the Trinity sucks. Um, SilverFox, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Actually, we pretty much handled that one. The next random number I got kind of leads into what you started to say and said you would save it for later. My next random number is number 2, and that's
Wonder Girl. This was one I really wanted to rip into, but I'll go last. I'm the host. I should be a good host and let everybody else go first. But here we actually have some difference of opinion, which I'm glad about because I'm thinking that'll lead to some good discussion on this. Wonder Girl, Wonder Girl. Matt, do you want to start?
Well, this is going to be one of them that doesn't affect me too much anymore because, as you know, I've pretty much quit doing PvP. But it gets real old seeing her in every single comp, which kind of forces you to put your dead shot in every single comp you do. It's a nuisance.
It's boring.
And she's been in every comp for how long now?
Yeah, I mean, SilverFox. I know you feel differently.
Well, my take on Wonder Girl is very simply my two of my strongest characters, two I love to use, are Castaway Green Arrow and Huntress. And Wonder Girl pretty much dies quickly. So if people want to stack her in every other match, that's fine. I'll kill her in every other match.
But what I'm seeing, though, is that people put her in behind 19 taunters, 75,000 evasion ups, and 117 awareness ups. And it's just, more and more difficult to be able to, even do the Red Robin Deadshot combo. And it's driving me nuts that you have so many characters that are buff-based characters, and it's really what the game is built around. And here's this character that gets a turn pretty much every turn between everyone's turn to whip you to death. And I don't personally find that fun.
And there's no way to stop it. You can't put a debuff on her to make it stop because she also self-purges.
That's right. And
I can see that. Really with her, it's not as much her as her and Donna Troy.
true.
But Castaway does his multi-shot, which takes away the awareness on everybody. Huntress, her number 3, takes out Donna Troy. My next turn, I take out Wonder Girl.
Yeah, I was finding I was able to do that type of method for a while, but it's just becoming more and more difficult.
After Cassie.
Say that again?
After Cassie.
Yeah, that's true too. And and there's a point I want to make about Wonder Girl of the difference between the way she works for the AI and the way she works for you as the player, which is another thing that drives me nuts about the character, is on her passive whip. If you take a character like Cassie Kane, let's say you were running your Wonder Girl and your Cassie Kane versus another Wonder Girl and Cassie Kane. On the passive whip for your Wonder Girl, she will not be able to remove any buffs from Cassie Kane on the other team. But the AI Wonder Girl, when she passive whips, the first thing she will eliminate is the invisibility on your Cassie Kane, stripping your ability to do many things in her kit that it requires. And I'm only using that as one example because this happens all the time where she hits characters that she should be missing, but because it's the AI, it doesn't do that. Drives me nuts.
Well, that moves us into really number 4, the PvP RNG Madness.
Yes.
Where the opponent's character is 20 times more powerful than your same character. I'm not going to mention Harley Quinn at Jester on this one, but it's nuts.
Yeah, somebody.
Yeah, if you won't mention her, I will. I've had her rebirth, and I cannot remember the last time that she retaliated or evaded on my team. We just
had our timer for Wonder Girl, by the way, so we could have kept bitching for a few more seconds.
But yeah, and every time you face a Harley Quinn, she's gonna evade every time, even if she only has one evasion up. And then she's just going to wreck the rest of your team.
And even though...
obviously she's gotten a lot easier to deal with since, her heyday in the Deathstroke meta,
but she's still a good example of the ridiculousness that comes along with RNG. I mean, for example, her retaliation, to be able to go twice is only a 50%. But she pretty much hits you twice in retaliation every time. And but mine stands there like, what happened? And as I had responded to a viewer's comment, and he asked me why I hadn't rebirthed my Harley, and I said, my Harley can't even evade her taxes, much less evade an attack from another player.
Now, as far as the 50% double tap, it's real simple. 50% means on defense, she's going to double tap every time. On offense, she's never going to double tap. So you got your 50% right there.
Yeah, you average it out. And that's same for a character like Bane, where like he's powering himself up every time I hit him.
Right.
For me, like the reason I wanted this one on the list of things that we could air our grievances about is I understand that the AI needs some sort of advantage because they're going second. But it reaches a point of absurdity. I mean, the other day I played a team in Siege that was a 23,000 team, and they killed 2 of my players. 2 on a 30,000 team from a 23,000 team. How does that happen unless the RNG is just ridiculous?
Well, it doesn't happen. That's the thing. And the R in RNG is supposed to be random, but it's not.
That's right. Another one that that comes to my mind that drove me crazy is Atrocitus has a 30% chance to revive people. If that's 30%, then I'll give somebody one of my arms, because there's no way that's 30%. And if you do the math behind it, I've had matches where he's revived people 4 times. That means you'd have to do 0.3 times 0.3 times 0.3 times 0.3. And you're going to get some ridiculously low percentage chance of that event happening. And yet it does.
But it only happens for the opposing team. It doesn't happen in your favor.
That's right. That's right.
Right. When was the last time that your Atrocitus revived?
Exactly. Yeah. Or revive 3-4 people.
Right.
I remember I don't remember which teammate it was, but we had a teammate that reported Grundy reviving something like 12 to 14 times.
Yeah, I can believe it.
It's the reason it's such a frustration for me is because it takes away from the fun. I don't need to win every time, obviously, that wouldn't be fun. But when you can just tell that it's ridiculousness is the reason you won, and that you can use the same team that you just lost with and play the same team again and win 3 stars, that shows you how off something is.
Well, I told you last night, I believe I had a small outburst when a Gear 9 Man-Bat took out my entire Rebirth team. Just,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So that happened.
Yeah, it's frustrating. So SilverFox, we got about 30 seconds left on this topic. Is there anything else you want to get out of your system and just let it go?
On this one, I think I'm golden.
How about you, Matt? Got anything else you want to get out of the system?
I'm good.
Okay. Because the idea is at the end we all feel like we've purged a lot of this grief that we're feeling.
Right.
All right, Joseph, do you want to pick us another topic? My timer's about to run out for this round.
Well, I just pulled up a 3, which is lack of new content.
The lack of new content. All right, let's get on to that one.
I feel like we've been complaining about this one for... when did the game come out?
Excuse me.
We've been complaining about this for years. The last real content that we had other than raids was what, red alerts?
Yeah.
That sounds...
Well, so you're saying before raids?
Yeah.
Is that right? Is red alerts the last new thing?
I think so.
Oh my god. And even that feels like an eternity, because I remember, and one thing that would have been on my list of grievances is the failure to rotate red alerts characters, which I had been complaining about for an eternity, and they finally did something about it, so it can't be on the list anymore. But I just remember how long ago that was.
Or anything.
Say that again, Matt?
Rotating the characters that are in campaign, just anything, so that we can farm somebody other than Hal Jordan, Sinestro, Zatanna, and Green Lantern.
Batman, who we already complained about.
Yeah, Batman.
Stepping back for just a second, we were mentioning red alerts and the change of characters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give credit where it's due. The current lineup is great. You've got some really strong characters that you've got some great opportunities to build up. So when they finally got around to updating the characters in red alerts, they nailed it.
Yes. I think they did a good job. I mean, Etrigan, Power Girl, White Lantern, Sinestro, Catwoman are all the ones that come to mind.
I also don't want to sound ungrateful for the increase in the amount of shards and other rewards added to it.
Absolutely. Although
it's not a comment on red alerts are bad. It's just, what have we had in the game since red alerts?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't want to I didn't want my comment to be misconstrued either. What I was saying was, I could have complained about red alerts. I don't know, however many months ago it was. I can't complain now, but
yeah,
we need something new. It gets stale. It becomes mechanistic, and it feels like a chore. Whereas when you have something that's new and revitalizes the game and revitalizes your joy to want to log in and play, and the competition is doing that. And that drew a big silence.
No, I had nothing to add because you nailed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's time that we get something new. I've seen players suggest some really good ideas, One of the things that I mentioned in a video before that I would love to see revitalized is the weekly PvP competition. Most of the players, not all of the players in the top alliances, we don't need that alliance essence that much anymore. And especially given how little they rotate the shop. And it would be nice to see a revitalization of some of the competition between alliances on a weekly basis as opposed to just during raids.
Yeah, I think something like that that Martian Manhunter event, all those, all that time back would be good, as long as they don't then immediately put him in the shop.
Yeah.
But make him available to the alliances that work the hardest.
What else would you guys suggest that they add to the game? Is there another game you play?
Main events that we've been asking for years. A better way to farm green essence, a better way to farm gear,
Blue rings.
great missions.
Legendary essence.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about game modes that you would like to see?
I mean, you and I have had this conversation. I'm mostly in this game at this point to just kind of fill out my roster. So mine is just going to be more better ways to collect material to, gear up people.
Yeah.
Because it's too expensive to do it the way that it is right now, and too slow to do it as a free-to-play.
All right, so we just hit the timer for 10 seconds left. SilverFox, do you want to close it out?
Well, as far as the getting more materials, a new way, get rid of the boredom factor. I mean, it's grind. That's all it is. So now, since we're talking about earning more ways of, or finding more ways of earning materials and gear and stuff, random number generator popped up number 5, which is punished for upgrading.
Ah, okay, good one. All right, so I've started the timer for punished for upgrading, and this is something, just to introduce this topic, my bell will go off here to start us off for the 5 minutes. This was something I covered in a different video to a certain extent on the Wraith scoring and what is so controversial about the Wraith scoring. But do one of the two of you sort of just want to do a quick summary of why it is you're punished for upgrading, or how it is you're punished for upgrading?
Well, I think for the experienced player, it's not as bad as for the newbies. The newbies latch onto that one character, they punch them up twice the level of their next character, and they're drowning. The experienced players, we've learned that lesson usually the hard way.
Yep, I did.
And so, I mean, before I upgrade any character, I'm looking to see what that's going to do to my balance. I'm going to look and see how that affects other things.
Yeah, because the higher your top four players go score-wise, the fewer points that you get in Wraith. And so you're basically punished for upgrading your roster.
Yeah, I was actually thinking more on the stronger the competition you face. But yeah, the fewer points that you generate per match in Wraith is huge.
Yeah.
Right now I'm fighting. For a few weeks, I didn't care about the PvP reward, and I let myself drop down to 900 trophies. And now I'm fighting to get back up to 1,500.
And because you're not getting 20 points a match, it's a slog.
Right,
yeah.
Right. When my best team is 33, and I'm getting 35s, it makes it a bit tough.
I've never heard of a game that punishes you for doing what is seemingly the objective of the game, which is to upgrade your roster.
Right. I mean, I have stopped upgrading past level 70. And if they ever add a another level of gear in gear 12, I'm not going to do it. I learned my lesson with gear 11 when I couldn't compete in PvP at a realistic level anymore.
Yeah.
Because I was getting half as many points as a lot of other people.
Well, like with me, I won't go beyond Rebirth 1 because I know if I Rebirth 2 most characters, their power level will be too high and I'll be punished for it.
Yeah, for the longest time, I wouldn't upgrade anybody that would go above my top 4. And if it would, I wouldn't put all the gear on them.
What were you going to say, SilverFox?
Well, I've kind of found myself in a weird spot. About a year and a half ago, I decided I want to get a base minimum for my character. And at that time, it was I'm going to get my lowest characters up to 1,500 points. And then it was 2,000, 2,500, 3,000. Right now, my minimum character, my worst, my Grodd, is level 60, gear 8. Which is great when they announce bonus tunes because I don't have very far to push anyone. But on the other hand, it makes it really hard sometimes.
Yeah. It's like, you're caught between a rock and a hard place. And by the way, that's pretty impressive that you have your whole roster up that high. And for me, I purposely leave some people low just so they're, you can keep building them. And I don't know. I just don't understand. I mean, it seems like the problem that they were trying to fix is gone. And that problem was this thing that went on with Deathstroke, if for listeners who don't know. And it seems like it's gone, so I don't understand, and the idea of revive tunes is ruined by the 3-star system. I don't even bother with revive tunes, although there seems to be a meta forming around that. But it's just a frustrating thing. All right, so we got 10 seconds left on this topic. Who wants the last word?
Well, just on revive tunes, because of the way that you have the star system, it punishes you for upgrading revive tunes. What use is it to use them in PvP when you're going to lose points when they do what they're supposed to do?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive. It makes no sense at all. If the character is standing at the end of the match, the character survived the match.
I agree. Why don't you hit the random number generator and see what we get next? I'll start the next round. There's the beginning of the next round.
Okay, well, the next one is number 13, and that's going to be a fun one. Cheaters and hackers.
Oh, yeah. All right. Why don't we combine number 11 with 13 because they seem to go hand in hand. So let's start off with cheaters and hackers, but the other one that we have is this issue that WROL recently discussed with banning players for the raid glitch. And we can let's let it out and just purge all this negative energy. And SilverFox, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, well, I mean, as far as cheaters and hackers, the game has absolutely ignored cheaters and hackers forever. You've got the ones that run the, one-hit knockout, extra stuff that just maybe once in a while they might get reset on their points, but then they just build back up.
Yeah.
So that's perfectly fine. The game ignores it, but then you've got a glitch. Actually, I'm gonna shift gears slightly. Then you've got a glitch that I was initially told about how to do. That glitch is okay for everyone to use. That one's all good and golden and everybody loves it. But then you've got the raid glitch where if you accidentally fall into it while you're running 80 plus hours in 4 days, you might get banned.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is massive double standards there. The fact that they took away the points that were generated through the glitch as opposed to points generated through actually playing the game, I am 3,000% in agreement with that.
Me too.
But this whole thing about the ban, I mean, when I go into raid, pretty much raid is the thing I do. I start preparing my tunes for raid the day after the previous raid ended. I have charts where I'm tracking gear and tracking levels and everything. And I build them specifically for the raid. So I go into raid, and my wife knows for 4 days, I'm going to do nothing but stare at the iPad. I'm going to sleep 3 hours a night. She is going to make me a big pot of coffee when she goes to bed. And I am on that raid until 4 or 5 in the morning. I get 3 hours sleep, and I'm back in the raid. Now, looking at the most recent raid, let's see. I tracked 83 hours out of a total of 96.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah. I did 1,600 raid battles, plus PvP battles, plus PvE battles, plus red alerts, plus the full hero challenge. I estimate probably about 23 to 2,500 battles during those 4 days. Now, in addition to that, I've got a second account that I run on my Droid tablet, and I was playing it too. Nowhere near as much, but I was playing it too.
Yeah, I can't handle one. I don't know how you're doing two.
I'm obsessed. And then, in addition to that, I'm also rehabbing from a knee replacement. And while doing all that, and a lot of those battles are mindless, I hit that glitch a lot. I wasn't intentionally cheating, but when they hit the points, I lost 95 million points.
Wow.
I went from being just over the 70 milestone to 5 milestones short.
Now, our round ended, but I'm going to dedicate more time to this topic because this was something we all wanted to discuss. So, although the audience will hear the end of the round, we're going to keep going.
I appreciate that. But,
because I think your big point is the double standard, and I think what's frustrating is to have been complaining about hackers and cheaters for a long time, and I started a leader Discord server to address that topic, and you are generous enough to run that now, SilverFox. And our goal was to really make a list of people who were doing this that couldn't be able to find a home, because we're essentially doing the job that the developers could use, and it pisses me off, to be frank, to know that they had the tools to detect cheating in some way and they don't use it.
Exactly.
Well, it's not in their financial best interest to bust the players that spend money so that they can buy energy so that they can cheat.
Yeah.
It all boils down to that. It's dollars. It'll cost them money to police it. And then when they police it, they'll lose income because they'll delete some people that have wallets.
And I think I would argue that, or at least I think the argument could be made that what ends up happening from a financial perspective is that other people leave the game that could have been spending money too, who are fed up with that.
Yeah,
I completely agree with that.
I went from buying every character pack every month and spending some in raids to just spending at beginning of raid. I mean, so because I got so tired of people cheating in Wraith, people cheating in the showdown challenges and the gold challenges, and then on top of it, being threatened to be banned from the community center from having the audacity to complain about the cheaters.
That's a good point.
Like when you have that, you really don't want to participate anymore. So that's kind of why I have quit playing PvP for the most part. But with the raid glitch specifically, I lost points too on a much smaller scale, which I should have. It doesn't bother me. I didn't earn those points, but
and that
I'm just collecting those rewards mindlessly. Sometimes I double collected them, and by the time I'm noticing it, I've already done it 2 or 3 times, and then I'm click out of it to stop the glitch from occurring.
Yeah.
You don't need to threaten to ban me because you can't keep your software functional.
And I wanted to go back to something that you said, Matt, about the community center. I get the idea that we're not supposed to be in there shaming other players needlessly and create a community of people who are just beating each other up because they don't like each other or something. But when it is so obvious what somebody is doing, I don't understand what goal it serves to prevent me from reporting an obvious cheater in arguably the only outlet we have, or one of 2, Reddit and the community center. So I don't bother anymore.
Well, the one thing on the community center, and our green-haired friend is not going to like hearing this, but it really speaks volumes that the game liaison doesn't use the community center. She uses Reddit.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know, the community center is put in there to contact the community, but the community liaison says, yeah, forget this, and goes over to Reddit.
So you're referring to Reeves?
Yes.
Okay.
And Stammer was the same way. You know, Stammer would post over in Reddit.
Yeah.
So, you know, what's the point in the resources they're putting in the community center if their own representatives are not using the community center?
It's a good point. I mean, I switched over to Reddit simply so that I had more freedom to be able to say what I want to say, but that's a topic for another day. Why don't we do one last round, and that'll put us just short of 45 minutes. And you want to hit the random number generator, SilverFox?
Well, this one's going to be a quick one. We might do 2.
Okay.
I got number 6, Up, Up, and Away, otherwise known as the Hatemael gripe.
Yes, this is a dedication to Hatemael. If you're not familiar with Up, Up, and Away, this is the mission where you have to upgrade gear on one of your characters. And Matt, do you want to describe sort of like what the problem is there?
Yeah, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting close. If you have all of your characters fully geared, you will be unable to collect the rewards for that mission. And because that is a basic mission, it prevents you from progressing to your heroic missions. And in Siege, extra energy is tied to heroic missions. So if you have fully upgraded your roster, you are essentially prevented from competing in Siege.
Yeah, so what ends up happening is people have to slow gear new characters so that they have someone that they can upgrade the gear on.
You know, this is something that I know well, because when I was doing that, building up my entire roster, my first step was I wanted everyone gear 5. Well, now I've got just about everyone gear 7 or over. 1/3 my roster is gear 10. You know, so I have days where it's a struggle to get 1 gear. they should do something like, if on average you're gear 8, then that goes away.
Yeah,
Or
Hatemael's suggestion was to pay some gold to complete the mission.
Pay some gold, watch a video.
Watch a video is a good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
We can watch that blonde lady tell us how Raid Shadow Legends is so amazing.
Exactly. And that
this video is not sponsored.
That really goes back to the being punished for upgrading your characters.
That's true. That's a good point.
With that. All right. Well, since that one was pretty quick and painless, we want to do.
Yeah, let's do one more.
I'm hitting reruns, but bear with me just a second.
All right, no problem. We don't want to duplicate anything.
Well, while I'm looking for the next one, why don't we just hit number 7?
Oh, the Deathstroke nerf?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I am still angry about that Deathstroke read. Like, there's so many ways to deal with him now. Just put him back. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, so we actually included that as a joke. We weren't actually going to discuss the Deathstroke nerf. That dead horse has been beaten enough.
I do want to throw in 2 seconds on it.
Okay,
When it happened, I was happy because I was so sick of Deathstroke and Lobo.
Baby Lobo.
But they didn't need to. It's one thing neutering him. It's another thing cutting him off at the waist.
That is true.
They just completely crippled him instead of just, pulling it back a little. But my next random number, and I do have a public service announcement I have to give before we finish. But purposely picking crap characters for raids. Numero 8.
I'm so glad this one was chosen. I wanted that one to be chosen so badly. Matt, I will let you start because you're the one who wrote this one.
I think I'm one of maybe 7 to 12 people in the entire game that benefited from having a fully geared Sinestro a couple of raids ago. Just
Me too.
But what? Who's picking these? Blue Beetle.
I have a theory.
Rider of the King Tide. Let's throw in Mirror Master.
I can tell you exactly who's picking the raid bonus tunes.
The accountant.
The marketing department.
Yeah.
Who?
Let's put bleed tunes in there.
They can pull up stats and see who people have not geared up, and they're looking at which characters gear up. Are we going to make the most money? They're not going to make any money on Black Adam being a bonus tune. They're going to make money on Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah.
In the next 3 raids, I expect Gorilla Grodd to be a bonus tune.
I just wanted to point out that I was one of the few people in the universe to have a level 70 Gear 11 Blue Beetle. And I will add, he did not do anything. Nothing.
Yeah, I had Orm for this raid. He did nothing. I've had Aquaman all the times he's been on the raid. Nothing.
And you're referring to Rider of the King Tide, right?
It wouldn't matter because the other one's bleeding. So,
well, there's a world of difference. Aquamoa sucks. Arthur Curry doesn't suck quite as bad.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, the grind is already bad enough, which we already discussed. But to purposely, it seems purposeful each month to keep picking crap characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's obvious that they're picking them this way. Between, they pick bleed characters when the bosses are immune to bleed.
Yeah.
What's the point?
I don't know.
To
drive us crazy. There are times where I think they're purposely they don't want to work there anymore, so they're just trying to drive us out of the game and get us to quit. But nobody will do it, and they're like, "My God, what will it take to get these people to quit? Let's try Blue Beetle."
Well, maybe that's the reason for the constant one glitch after another glitch after another glitch. How many years did the daily missions reset like clockwork before they suddenly started having all these delays?
Yeah, good point.
How many years have the alliance points counted up like clockwork before just this week they started having glitches in it?
Yeah.
You know, if there's something wrong with the platform, that's one thing, but things are breaking now that weren't broken 2 weeks ago. And getting back to the banning, how do you ban a player because your programmer either can't or won't repair a programming problem?
That's a good question.
That to me is insane.
Well, we are at about 46 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give us all one last chance to either grieve about something like error grievance, or you can do a primal scream if you want, whatever will help you to have one last moment to get it out of your system.
Okay, well, I want to throw in a patriotic public service announcement.
Sure.
Election day is coming up. I'm not going to get into parties. I'm not going to say vote this way, vote that way, vote the other way. But get out there and vote. Vote early, vote often, and vote Detective Chimp.
All right. So how about you, Detective Chimp? Speaking of which, do you want to have one last say at it?
I think my biggest gripe is still the lack of Detective Chimp in game.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a problem that needs to be addressed immediately. And that's why everyone should vote Detective Chimp.
I demand satisfaction immediately.
Well, I have to say this was very therapeutic for me to get it out of my system. I hope it was for you guys. I want to thank you for coming on the show, SilverFox and Detective Chimp.
Oh, I just want to say one more thing. I really do love this game. I mean, this is just, kind of coming from a place of a little bit of burnout and some frustration, just kind of getting all the complaints out. There's obviously so much good in this game, and a lot of times that, overtakes the bad. So I just want to say that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that sentiment. And I mean, this was supposed to be half joke and half serious, but I mean, I 100% agree with that sentiment. SilverFox?
We wouldn't have been so passionate about our opinions if we didn't love the characters, if we didn't love the game, and the community. And I enjoy the community more than I enjoy the game half the time.
Me too.
Whether it's bad jokes from Green Hair, or just chatting with Brother Biz, or my two alliances. There's so much there. There's so much depth. There's so much that has helped me escape, one, retirement madness, but two, COVID madness.
Yeah. I got to give a lot of props to this community. It's a good community. And actually, that's a good place for me to sort of segue to wrap up, because I do want to thank the viewing audience, especially if you made it this far into the video. And I appreciate the support of my channel. If you'd like to become a Patreon, you can become a Patreon at patreon.com/Bizarro Style. Remember, Bizarro is 1 Z, 2 R's. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, thumbs up, whatever it is you give it. And thanks for watching. Thank you to my guests, SilverFox and Detective Chimp.